Welcome to the milk bar. 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 Welcome to the milk bar.
Welcome along to episode 573 of The Milk Bar. Jason Forrest here with you as ever. And coming up on the show, we'll be having a chat with Grangrad Gordon Astley, and his online escapades. He gets to be Grangrad online. He's loving it, I think. We'll find out more about that. We'll chat with bodybuilder Josh Bell about what he's been doing without the competitions he's planning on entering this year. We'll also talk health and fitness when we catch up with James Kirkpatrick. He'll be on the line as we have a chat there about some of the therapies that he has on offer. John Starkey joins us for a chat. We'll be hearing from him all about his work in the world of clairvoyance. And Dom Smith joins us for a chat about being on Britain's Got Talent when he was in his very early years. He's a ripe old age of about 25 now. So we'll be chatting about his time growing up there. And another star of reality TV, George Windsor, joining us for a natter too, and hearing some music from him. That's all coming up on the show this week.
But first of all,
with Bulletproof Series 2 available now on digital download and on DVD, and the box set of 1 and 2 on the 15th of June, it is a feast of entertainment for your eyes and ears. Someone who's got to keep control of Bishop and Pike in her role as Sarah Tanner is Lyndsey Coulson, who joins me now. Hello.
Hi, hello. Nice to be here.
Well, good to talk to you. And a series that was so well received with season 1, there had to be a season 2. Please tell me that the season 3 is coming along after everything's calmed down in this world.
Well, we have actually done a Bulletproof special 3, so the special of 3 particular eps that we just came back literally on the 6th of March from South Africa. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know when they'll be out, but that was really interesting to do it there. Then we sort of hit the ground running into lockdown not long after. So this amazing experience out there was sort of like, ooh. And I actually hadn't seen any friends since December because I was out there for three months. So I feel like I've been locked away for a very long time. But yeah, so they have that. They have got that to look forward to.
So there is something else to tease us with. I like that idea. But how do things work out for season 2? Because you've got Ashley Walters and Noel Clarke playing the 2 leads of Bishop and Pike. So what's going on in their world?
Well, obviously it's all that sort of undercover stuff in their world, and this is majorly undercover because I won't give it away because it'll be a shame because it'll ruin it. But the story is told over 8 episodes, and obviously they're fairly maverick, and they're sort of, they're not really adhering to many of the rules, but I sort of think that makes it sort of much more, fast and pacey than all the sort of procedural thing that we have to do here in the British police force. But I think they as a team and as a pair of actors are working it beautifully. They're very funny and they've got the banter and they work off of each other really well. So I think that's come to the fore a little bit more in this series. It's shot in London this year as opposed to it being in Liverpool and pretending it to be London. So I think it's freed it sort of panoramically because I think you can see the landscape, whereas potentially we were hiding that a little bit last year. And our offices, the main offices of the Crystal Building, which is at Royal Docks, which is by the Excel, which is now the Nightingale Hospital, but near the airport. So it's really exciting visually, and it's shot very filmically, and that makes it exciting. Car sequences, aeroplanes, helicopters. Yeah, no expense spared. So it's good. I think it's good.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing about it. You can feel the money. You can feel it's a well-made show. I mean, from watching the first season, the incident with the car and the witness, and I'm not saying any more than that for anyone who hasn't seen it, but there's some shocking moments that are also, in some weird ways, fun, aren't they?
They're what? Sorry,
they're fun as well as being shocking.
They are. I think that's what it does quite well. Actually, there are some shocking moments in this where you go, oh my God, I wasn't expecting that, and then there's something quite funny out of it, and I think and the boys do that brilliantly. Unfortunately, I don't get to play any of the sort of bantery bits. I am sort of trying to keep a lid on their maverick behaviour. But yeah, no, it's fun. It's good. It's got the right recipe, I think, and it's, you know, it knows who its target audience is, I think, and it's always hard as an actor to know whether or not the thing that you like and do is received well. So it's, when it is, it's great. But the boys who are exec producing on this one know what it is they want to do with it. So that, I think that's, whereas I think any first series of something is trying to, you know, introduce characters, also tell stories, and if it can do all of that and still hold an audience, that's brilliant. But I think if it gets more breadth of a piece in the second series. So I think that in it sort of goes, I know what I am now.
Yeah, and it certainly has the feel of something that has a chance to run. And as you say, season one was introducing, and the sudden world you're immersed into in the first episode, and taking that from there and seeing it develop. And then I haven't seen season 2 yet. I'm going to, yeah, I will be watching it soon. And yeah. It is sort of it's impactful, isn't it? It does sort of hit you in the face and then take you along with it.
I think season 2 actually is brighter and wider and more American in its how it feels, and you do think it gives London this sort of real edginess to it. But it could be any big city, really. It could be any major city, and it looks like the production value looks good, you know. And I think that's certainly when you're up against Netflix all the time and stuff, it certainly holds its own, definitely.
Absolutely. And that is itself brought together by such an amazing cast, and we've talked about Astley and Noel, and we can't go without mentioning the fact that you are a nationally known name before you started this, with the likes of being Carol Jackson in EastEnders, all the stuff that you've done with the Bay, MIT Murder Investigation Team, and so many more. I mean, you came into this, and what was it like dropping into a team like that, having been so integrated into other big shows?
I think, well, you sort of leave, you just become, it's like, you know, it's like if you've got good tools, you can do your job, isn't it? So if you get into a script and you like the script and you think that's an interesting character, I particularly like playing police people, and I seem to be going up the ladder as I'm getting older, which is great. I mean, I must fall off the ladder at some point.
But you become a consultant when you stop being a senior detective, don't you?
Oh, that's what it'll be. I'll be a consultant. Yeah, I sometimes think I am a police person. Like, you know, literally, if I meet other police people, I'll say, well, I'm a branch commander, you know, and I've done it incredibly well, you know. And I have met some wonderful police people in my journey of being an actor and playing lots of police people. I think, in fact, the other day, a little while ago, I was walking and I met a British transport guy, and he was a policeman, and he recognised me, and immediately I became his boss. Immediately my stature rose, and I said, I'm a branch commander. He said, yes, you are. I could feel him. I said, oh, we're not really, obviously. But that was funny.
And it must be a joy to play these sort of parts, though, because you get to be quite stern with the boys when you need to be, and that must add something to both the off-screen dynamic and the way in which you work on the set.
Yeah, I think it does, actually. I think they've got a lot of respect for me because I'm older, and I think they were watching me when I was in EastEnders when they were young. So I think, you know, I've got people that I respect and think, oh, I knew, you know, before I entered into this business, I knew you, I liked your work and stuff. And I really like them, and I think that's nice. And I think also, you know, they know they're their own people, and I think it's great because I think, you know, at least I can just give them a look, and I know that I'll have to pull rank here. And whether that works, you know, sometimes they're so maverick in this because it is their own show. I'm talking about them as characters that, you know, sometimes you have to go, hang on a minute, if I'm in the room, I wouldn't allow that. So we have to have those discussions because, you know, that wouldn't, the buck stops with me, so I'd have to stop that. But we're trying not to make this so sort of procedural and forensic. So you have, you know, obviously you've got a lot of leeway and dramatic license to do stuff that obviously the British police wouldn't be allowed to do. But I suppose that opens it up to a much more American, free-falling piece, actually. And that's exciting.
And it gives you a bit of fantasy as well, and I think that sort of helps with the series. And in some ways, the fantasy makes some of the other stuff more believable.
I think so, yeah. I think everybody knows what it is, and, you know, I think within that they tell some really, some sort of hard hitting stories. But you're right. And actually at this time, some fantasy is really what we need, isn't it?
Yeah, that's certainly escapism and a chance to immerse yourself into a world on TV whilst you've been isolating at home. I think that all helps. Well, yeah, with the DVD and digital seasons 2 available now, and the box set of 1 and 2 on the 15th of June. So teasing those who haven't heard of it so far, knowing that they've got to catch up as of next week. It's going to be well worth a look if you haven't experienced it. I mean, Bulletproof is an absolute treat, isn't it?
Yes, I think so. And I happen to be in it, but I do think so.
You're biased, but then again, come on, we've seen your career CV. If it's not worth doing, you don't do it, do you?
Mostly I don't, but I think also I'm an actor, and sometimes you have to do things that you might potentially not have decided to do just for tick box of other reasons. But mostly now I won't do stuff that I don't really believe in. So because otherwise I can't play the truth of it. I think that's the thing, and that's what you want to do as an actor, isn't it? You want to play some truth as much as possible, and I'm really, I'm really proud to have been part of this. Actually, I do think I need to fall off that ladder at some point, and will be interested to see what. As I say, we've done a special with 3, but see what happens if they're lucky enough, or we're lucky enough to do 4.
Oh,
I'll leave you with that.
Okay, anything can happen. Watch this space. Lyndsey Coulson, thank you for joining us. Bulletproof is a treat for all, and we look forward to seeing you on a screen near us soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Jason. Bye.
Gordon Astley has been many things to many people over the years. Breakfast show host on Beacon, star of one of the teams on Checkers Plays Pop, and so much more in between. He is now Grandpa Gordon online, and he joins me for a chat. Hello, sir.
Do you know what I hate about some interviews? Is when the interviewee corrects the person interviewing.
Oh, go on, what have I done?
Well, it's very important, this.
Go on.
It's not granddad.
Oh.
It's grandgrad.
Sorry,
Don't even be defensive about it. I tell you why grandgrad. It's one of those family things when one of the children doesn't understand the word granddad. Because I'm a grand something, but dad is who a dad is. So she always called me grandgrad. So the show became Grandgrad Gordon Story Time on GGTV. Thank you.
There we go. I said, mate, I didn't get the GG reference quite in the same way. So Grandgrad makes even sense. More sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, GGTV, for those who don't, it's Grandgrad television, but it makes it sound as if it's for horses or it's an equestrian station. But it's GGTV, and you are at the moment, we are in the green room at GGTV Centre.
I'm liking it. So how are you? What's been going on then? Because this is a good bit of fun.
I'm very good. I don't know if you're here. There's been a pandemic. I don't know if anybody knows. This might be breaking news. And we're all in. Why is it called lockdown?
Yeah.
I can understand lock up. I can understand lock in. I kind of understand lock out. But lockdown, and we all accept. See, this is it, isn't it? We all accept what's thrown at us. So we're all going, oh yes, it's locked. When did coronavirus suddenly become COVID-19? We all accept it, don't we?
Mm.
You see? Now, for all we know, could just be a plan by the television companies to keep us in and get the viewing figures up.
Well, it certainly will be working, particularly as we've got some great options to watch now, with Grandad TV doing its bit to entertain the kids. And I mean, you've reached the point in your life now where you have a particularly extended family, and they are lucky to have somebody like you at the top of the tree.
Thank you. So, yes, the ugly tree.
But can we reminisce for a moment? Because I mean, I remember the happy days of you presenting breakfast on Beacon and all the fun that's ensued on radio throughout the Midlands and beyond since then. And this that you're doing now, entertaining a younger generation, you're just used to putting smiles on the faces of those who've come into contact with you for decades, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I tell you what, it's interesting because just before lockdown, shake it all about, before that began, we kind of made a family decision that I'd go home and see how it went. And that very afternoon, they announced lockdown. And we got to make a decision. Does 71-year-old Grandgrad come back and perhaps be at risk? Because I'm quite physically fit. I'm not an infirm 71-year-old. I run every day, and I do all that, eat well. And we said, well, let's go for Grandgrad on his own. And so explain to the kids. And what happened was that Penny, who's 6, got quite worried about it. Georgia, who's 10-year-olds are amazingly resilient, can cope with stuff. But 6-year-old, and she said, I'm missing the stories every night. So what happened was my daughter put an iPad and with me live like this now, and I read her a story like I normally would via the iPad just in the screen. And my daughter thought this was so lovely. She took a photo. That's the international sign for taking a photo. and she took a photo and posted it. And everybody said, oh, can he do one for us? Oh, can he read us a story? Can he read? And my daughter said, you ought to do that every night. And that's how it was born. And so every night we started to do it. And typical me, I went out and bought a tripod and some, one light. You don't want too many lights on this, do you? We have a co-presenter called Charlie who helps us out every night. So it's not just me. I know what you're saying now. You're saying, Jason, you're saying, well, is Charlie around?
Yeah, we see Charlie. Hello, Charlie.
Who's that? He said, who's that? You got to talk to him.
Oh, sorry, Charlie. Yes, my name's Jason, and I've been a particular fan of Grandad for quite a while.
He says you talk more than I do, but you're just as pretty.
Well, we're doing well there.
So Charlie's now become a star on his own, and he helps out every night, and all the kids love him. But what happened is that it's like a lot of successful programs, like Tiz was. Is it's on a couple of 3 levels. That's the international sign for levels. What he does is we do like panto. Like panto, it's got so a lot of adults are just tuning in. I've got cousins I didn't know existed, and people who are tuning in, and they're all sort of going, oh, we love this, we love that, and people are sending in their requests. Now, I'm going to be honest, it's not going to worry Radar or Global. It's not going to worry them, this programme, because we've only got about 50 people watching. But as soon as I do a little thing like this, I get loads of friends requests. And because I didn't want to bore people with who are my adults, so-called adult friends, that's the international sign for adults, so-called adult friends, I didn't accept their friends' request, and they thought it was all off. And I go, do you really want to sit down and hear Grandgrad Gordon and Charlie? Do you want to see them? Do you want to see me reading David Walliams stories? And they said, yeah, we think we do, actually.
Yeah. Everyone needs a Grandgrad in their life.
And what happens is every night at 7:30 we have a story, we have a joke, we have Charlie, and people send in all the requests. I'm on Facebook Live, and if anybody can tell me how to get split screen and what's working, but to be honest, I think it works better on me just broadcasting. Sorry, I'm wittering. It's what I do. That's the international sign for wittering. Okay. By the way, this whole international sign thing. Now that's just a verbal, physical tick that came out. Because being radio like yourself, I'm not used to talking to myself. So I was seeing myself, and I was doing this with my hands for some reason. And I thought, oh, that. And eventually, this whole thing about international sign. I mean, I don't know if you know, when you go on, what's the international sign for a pizza when you're on holiday? It's that, isn't it?
Yeah.
You go to the bar, you go, I'll have a pint, please. A whiskey, that's the international sign for a whiskey, and a pizza. And so all this international, so you know this, the best catchphrases and gimmicks in radio or television are just born out of something you do regularly. I'm going to be honest with you, Jason, I enjoy doing it.
It's jolly good fun, and we need somewhere where we can get you. I mean, so you mentioned Tiz was that obviously huge numbers of fans ongoing for that, and I know you get invited to talk about that regularly. And so Checkers Plays Pop is the one for me that sticks in my mind, and the whole thing that worked with that. I mean, that must have been great fun back in the day with the music and everything else that went with it.
Well, what was great about that was I was able to keep my radio career going, so I kept radio going, and on a Sunday A Saturday night, went up to Manchester, Oxford Road, which is no longer there. I've noticed something, Jason. All the places I ever worked in have been knocked down. Everywhere, except for Beacon Towers, which I think is that the house is still there.
It is.
But I've just noted Pebble Mill. Anyway, so went up on a Saturday evening to meet Keith and whoever the co-presenter was, Carmen or Debbie, and we did the programme on a Sunday. And I was the yellow team. I was the yellow team leader. And for those who don't know, it's a mixture of It's a Knockout and Top of the Pops, presented by one of the celebrity stars of the day, which was Keith Chegwin, the late Keith Chegwin.
I know, lovely fella as well.
And it was called Cheggers Plays Pop. What was interesting, and I've always wanted to do this, I've written off to a couple of people, producer Peter Ridsdale-Scott. Oh, it's in the days, by the way, when all BBC producers had double barrel names. and the only other outside of the BBC, do you remember Peter Noyes Thomas?
Yes.
At Beacon?
Yeah.
And everybody with a double barrel name, like Peter, lives up to it. They say, okay, old chap. Yes, marvellous, loving it. Anyway. But where was I? I go off on all sorts of tandems. I wanted to know what bands played on Cheggers Plays Pop, because loads of great bands appeared with us on Tiswas, but it was a roll call of the 70s and early 80s. Music appeared. I remember sitting down once, having a quiet afternoon whiskey, bearing in mind we recorded the show at 7 o'clock.
Right.
So it's an afternoon. The bands are downstairs rehearsing. We've rehearsed the games in the morning because it's a mixture of It's a Knockout and Top of the Pops. So we've rehearsed the games in the morning, rehearsed the bands in the afternoon, and I spent a great afternoon getting slowly piddled with Debbie Harry, just myself and her in a bar, quite close, quite cosy. She most probably makes more of the story than I am doing now. But it was just an amazing one, and I'd love to know what bands were on. I can remember Slade and the Usual Suspects, Shawaddy Waddy. I remember, who was the bloke? Jilted John. I never lived it down. He came on and he sang a song called Jilted John, but everybody still calls that song Gordon is a Moron. And there's a chorus because Gordon is a moron. And the crew and the audience had great pleasure in pointing in unison at me. So anyway, Cheggers Plays Pop was good. It was good fun, and the tapes are still around. You can see them on Facebook.
Facebook's a great place. There's some great stuff on there. There are Tiswas moments too, and if only we had recordings going back to some of the breakfast shows you did. If there was a lot of that about, that'd be absolutely fantastic as well, wouldn't it?
Do you know, I stopped doing radio. Apparently I retired. I must have been the last one to find out. I retired about 10 years ago when I was on BBC Southern Counties. I lived in Brighton. Phew, that's a vibrant city, I can tell you. I retired, but I remember hacking around for some jobs. You know when you sort of move on. Yeah. And I wanted to come to be nearer the family. And I got practically in unison the same reply. Now, it's most probably people letting me down gently, because there am I at the age of, I would have been then about 63, 64. I'm applying for jobs, But in radio, it doesn't matter how old you are, it's how you sound. And I've always had a light voice. And I remember they all said practically the same thing was, Gordon, we're not employing personalities anymore. People like yourself, who are a bit sort of edgy. And I never thought of myself as edgy. White middle-class boy who's happy to earn a crust. And I think I sounded more edgy than I was. Because the thing about being edgy and a bit about breaking the rules is you've got to know the rules. And you don't break them, you bend them. Mm-hmm. You threaten the rules. Yeah. You wag it. That's the international sign for wagging your finger at the rules. Do you want to do split screen with Charlie? This is split. Do you want to do split screen? Here we go. We're going to do split screen. Hello, Charlie.
Hello, Charlie.
Hang on, there's a delay.
Gordon, you are always a pleasure to talk to. Thank you for joining us. How do we find Grandgrad online?
It's on Facebook only at the moment. I tried every other way of getting it onto Twitter and what have you, but it's on Facebook, and it's just put my name in, Gordon Astley, Astley. All right, and that will get you to us. And to be honest, if you when you send a friend request, say say Beaconite or something, so I know you're not just a passing stranger in the night. I'll tell you what I'll end this little podcast with now.
Go on.
Yeah, Charlie says, we have a poem, and we were given this. I was given this by a friend who was a Spike Milligan fan, and Milligan appeared a couple of times with us on Beacon Radio.
Yeah.
And he wrote a poem called "Smiling is Infectious." Now, bear in mind, this is the start of COVID-19. And so infectious was the word, you know. And I said, that's a great antidote to what's going on at the moment, okay? So and my daughter, my granddaughters, and everybody I know now knows this off by heart. So shall I do it for you?
Share it away, please. Thank you.
You're a brave man if you say no after I've done that. I blackmailed him. Yes, I did, Charlie. Smiling is infectious by Spike Milligan. Here you go. Enjoy. Smiling is infectious. You catch it like the flu. When someone smiled at me today, I started smiling too. I passed around the corner and someone saw my grin. When he smiled, I realized I passed it on to him. I thought about that smile and I realized its worth. A single smile, just like mine, can travel around the earth. So, if you feel a smile begin, don't leave it undetected. Let's start a smile epidemic quick and get the world infected with a smile.
Gordon, always good to see you, and Charlie, thank you for joining us. Grandgrad TV, we're looking for. Search for Gordon Astley. I will see you soon. Ta-ra for now.
Keep the faith. They did go well, didn't they? Yeah. He was quite nice, wasn't he? In spite of what other people say. Oh, right. We're still on. I won't turn around. We'll pretend this, we're frozen.
John Starkey is a name known to many, not only across our area, but across the UK and the globe for his work in the world of clairvoyance. And he joins me now on the line for a chat. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Now, we haven't been able to get you on a video call because you're in the middle of nowhere up a mountain at the moment. So
That's right, yes.
we can live with that. However, how are you and what's going on in your world at the moment?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you. And we seem to be getting an influx of people wanting to know what's going to happen because of the current environment and everything that's going on. So it's becoming very interesting.
I can imagine it is, and obviously with your work it's very often face-to-face. That hasn't been able to happen for a while, but you are also well known for doing telephone readings too, so you've been able to carry on in spite of everything that's been happening.
Yes, that's right. The telephone really can be a very good medium to talk to people because you don't see the person, so you only pick up on their presence, and that's what makes it interesting.
And it shows your worth in what you're doing as well, because sometimes people could be accused of reading reactions to things, and certainly if it's a telephone reading that you're doing, all you've got is the sound of their voice to work with.
That's right, yes. The more reaction you have, the worse the reading will be. The rule of thumb is that you talk to the person by telling them what you can see. Then afterwards, if they want to ask questions, that's fine.
So what does it normally involve when somebody does set up a reading with you? There's obviously probably not that much consultation beforehand. Someone makes a booking, and then you will start talking through what you need from them to begin with.
I take an object to hold and then simply get my mind into that state halfway between sleep and awake, where the conscious mind is going down and the subconscious mind is coming up, like that warm feeling you get before you go to sleep, and then I just tell them everything that comes into my mind.
And then once you've shared this, obviously they can then interpret this how they see it from the information you've given.
Well, the thing about interpretation is that if you try to do that, it probably won't work out the way you thought it was going to. It's better to take it literally, which is why I record it really. Make a note of it on a recording, or note of it in whatever way you can, and then see what happens. And it's fascinating sometimes how something that you say you will think is one way, and actually it turns out to be another. But it turns out, just as it comes sometimes.
And of course, we know you from your time sharing astrology on local radio for many, many years. And,
yes, that was a great time. Yeah.
Is that still something that you work on as well? Do you do astrological charts for people?
No, I don't do individual charts these days. I just look at the trends. It fascinates me where the planets are in relation to each star sign sometimes. And the astrology side of it really is something that kind of personal interest. But I used to look at all the trends, put it together, then try and put it together in a sort of semi-amusing kind of way so that people could take it as a sort of guide, really.
Mm-hmm. Something to look out for in your day-to-day life, and the way in which the star signs work has been an interest for many thousands of years, hasn't it?
Yes, oh indeed, yes, it's ancient, absolutely, yes, and in many cultures too.
So when you're working with people at the minute, I mean, we know from what you've done in the past, you would often have events and big gatherings. Obviously, that's something that hasn't been able to happen this year. And that's probably left a lot of people disappointed because they do like to get together and have a time of communion on this.
Yes, it's nice to meet up. I worked still do work with the Psychic Research Foundation of Great Britain, and they have regular sort of meetings at different parts of the country. And it's lovely to keep in touch with the people as well, because a lot of them are developing their own abilities, maybe in different ways, maybe in healing or in passing on knowledge to other people or clairvoyance or whatever. But a very interesting group of people who have all got different ways of looking at things. The lovely part about it is they're a great cultural mixture, but they're also a mixture of interests too. So when we do have a weekend together, it becomes great fun, and we normally find that we get the leisure side of it as well.
So the best of both worlds.
Yes.
So, now, obviously, we are in difficult times at the moment, and this means, say, a lot of people are looking to you for not necessarily reassurance, but at least some understanding of their direction and path. And when it comes down to the world we're in at the moment, I mean, how do you see things progressing? I mean, fingers crossed we're going to see a better world to come in the near future.
Well, I never contemplated or could see what's happening on with this pandemic, etc. But I did keep getting this feeling of civil war. Now, I'll be quite straightforward about it. I've said it to quite a few people. I only hope it doesn't escalate to anything silly. But I think the world will go in a good direction eventually. When we stop dividing people into groups and we see ourselves as being one big group, then we've got the real power to go forward. And I do think that will come. I think it will be a backlash from those who want us to do the opposite to that.
And hopefully, with the likes of this coronavirus pandemic, it will help us to work together as one global community.
I think so. Yes, I think so. I'm old enough to remember the time when you would know your next door neighbour, and when you lived in a little group where you'd all help each other. And you know, it's quite strange. There's good that comes from all sorts of things, and I think the good has come from that particular situation of people working together, even though they can't see each other. Things like clapping for the NHS. You know, the deed is good, but the sort of aspect of that where people come together is even better because they're standing as one.
John, where can people get in touch with you so they can find out about future events and, of course, talk to you if they need to?
Oh, best way is give us a call, and that's on the Wolverhampton number, which is 01902 334 224.
John Starkey, always good to speak to you. Stay safe, and we look forward to speaking
Pleasure.
to you soon.
Thanks very much.
Dominic Smith shot to national fame as part of Britain's Got Talent. Probably about a decade or so ago now. He has continued his singing since that moment of stardom. However, he's taken a bit of a break. He's wasting his time at the minute doing a degree in something like psychology or something. I don't know what's wrong with him there. But he has got that talent. He is a star, and he joins me now for a chat. Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good. Are you all right then?
I'm good, thank you.
Good stuff. So, I mean, let's go back in time to begin with, because before you appeared on Britain's Got Talent, you'd already sung in front of thousands of people. We had you sing down at Molyneux, and you caused an absolute stir when you did that. Not once, but I think twice in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so we definitely, you invited back, which is always a good sign. But, I mean, even then, there was a lot of talk around a future career. But that's a path you've pretty much chosen not to go down just yet. But who knows what the future could hold.
Mm-hmm.
So what was it like doing BGT? Where at what, the tender age of what, about 11 years old, was it?
BGT, I was 14. I turned 15 by the time that I got to the semi-finals.
Yeah.
So yeah, like quite a transitional sort of age as well, coming out of secondary school and going into sixth form and that kind of stuff.
For someone of that age, it must have been quite daunting appearing on TV and being in all the press.
It was daunting, but I was I think because I'd been doing it since I was 10, I was just conditioned to be used to that and used to that environment. Like there was always there's always nerves, there's always adrenaline and that sort of stuff, but it was kind of just something that I got on with and just became accustomed to.
But when you were performing, you just absolutely blew everyone away, and to do as well as you did, to get to the live finals, and it's one thing being recorded singing for TV, but another one knowing that whatever happens, it's actually going live across the nation, and that again, that must have been even worse.
Yeah, very, like that element of it 100% was a big deal. I remember being backstage and thinking it's not just the audience, like, and yeah, that was an intense moment. But again, it's like I just channeled that, if that makes sense. You know, it was always a part of the system, a part of the rush, if that makes any sense.
And do you think that helped you shine? Because when the nerves are on edge, that can make it just that little bit more important, can't it?
Well, 100%. I mean, like, nerves can like make or break it. If so, you know, I think when you are nervous and when you do put the that much gravitas on a performance, it either enhances it and makes it a more raw version of the song that you're singing, as opposed to if it was just something that you were just
But did you ever manage to get any musical releases under your belt? Are there still CDs with your little cherub childlike face on them somewhere?
There are still CDs. I never actually released any. I do actually want to release some of the old material. I'm hoping at some point to be able to do a project where I re-record the songs that I did in a different key, maybe change the style up a little bit and release it alongside the younger version.
Yeah, kind of then and now thing.
Yeah. So that's definitely something that I want to do, and the songs are lurking around, and I'm still kind of in touch with some of the people that I did.
Because I mean, as it goes, obviously, when someone's voice breaks, that can change things and make a difference. You're talking about singing in a different key. I mean, your voice did break quite late, which is why I got confused about how old you were at the time, because you know, that was, I suppose, a perennial worry for anybody who was booking you at the time, because they were booking in Dominic up here somewhere, and they weren't sure whether they were going to get Dominic down here.
We were always dealing with that for a fair amount of time, and it wasn't until I was about 16 or 17 even when my voice changed, but it happened. And it was just learning a new instrument.
Well, it still really well works well, because we had you singing at the bonfire in the city last year, and you absolutely wowed the audiences. And you know, throughout the whole night, we had some fantastic acts on, and every single one of them, someone made a comment about how good they were. And when he came to you, they said, "Yeah, well, where do we know him from?" And I had to explain the backstory to a few people. And they go, right, okay, because he was like about 4'0" last time we saw him.
Honestly, I was a late bloomer with height as well. That was a big problem. That was worrying. You tower over me, as I recall now, and your dad, in fact, too, who was important you to all the gigs when you were younger. So, what can we expect? I joke about the fact you're doing your. Give me the full title of the degree course. So I'm doing a psychology BSc. So yeah, I got to a certain point again. There's a running theme with me as a late bloomer where I just wanted to be well-rounded, and I also really respect mental health and understand how important it is to know as much as you can and try and be a better force in promoting that and helping heal that wound that has been neglected for a long time. And when I wanted to incorporate it into my music as well, I wanted to be knowledgeable in a way where I could apply therapies or just my knowledge into my music, just to add another dimension.
Through all of the studies, I think you could easily run the two careers in parallel. I think this could prove a particularly powerful way of doing it. And music is such a therapy to many people as well. I think the two just really do go hand in hand, don't they?
Most definitely. I think explaining my reasons for doing it, because I felt like I did have to explain myself to a lot of people.
Why aren't you a multi-million pound earning celebrity megastar?
Oh gosh, but what I explained to them is, I know that in my life I want to do good by people, and music-wise, there was a lot of good that I was giving. I got off of people appreciating or evoking some sort of emotion, some sort of relief, helping soothe some sort of pain from the music and from what I gave. And it was a way, and going into psychology was a very similar sort of situation. It was like learning about people and trying to help them and trying to soothe. So it was something that I think that empathy, you have to have some sort of empathy as a musician anyway, just to convey all of those emotions across. And I knew that I had that as a skill, and I was just like, I just want to incorporate it into other things. I want to be the whole person that I'm meant to be.
Well, certainly, from the music world, we know that you are up there, and we'll wait to see what your degree comes out like. But that's going to be good. I know you're going to do absolutely brilliant in that as well. Everything that you do is suitably driven. So, where do we go to find out what you are doing at the moment, and where should we hang around? Just kind of waiting for the next musical experience?
In all honesty, there's been a lot of writing going on, but nothing's set in stone and released just yet. I mean, I am on my social medias. I'm on Facebook, Dominic Alex Smith, Instagram, Dom Alex Smith, and that's kind of where I'm at. But it is something that I plan on doing. My degree finishes next year.
Even though that's confusing in itself in the current climate.
Well, yeah. But a lot of it is online, so I do think that there's going to be a lot of time for me to kind of spark those creative juices and get them flowing. And it's just about being able to get into a room and put some stuff down. So yeah, I mean, like in lockdown, what else is there to do except for be creative?
Exactly. Well, the world needs you to do that, so make sure you get your finger out and get that sorted, young man. Meanwhile, though, have a fantastic time. We look forward to eventually getting that full album released, which has been a long time coming. For now, I'm going to just call you Dom, but Dominic Alex Smith, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Working the world of PT and some therapy too is James Kirkpatrick. He joins me for a chat now. Hello, sir.
Hello, Jason.
How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. How are you?
I'm getting by, thank you. Although my back is killing. We need to have words about that at some point. Because you do work in the world of therapy when it comes to the likes of massage and various other techniques which are there to help people either with sports injuries or general day-to-day life, not treating them particularly well. And with the sudden influx of people doing stuff in the garden over the last few weeks when they've been furloughed, as soon as you're able to get back to work, I suspect you're going to be busy.
Yeah, very much. There's a lot of people out there that I've seen on social media and stuff doing a lot of exercises that could be tweaked. So, picking up injuries, and I'll be there to remedy any issues they may have.
So remind us about some of the areas that you work in, because it's more than just muscle manipulation.
Yeah, so as a sports therapist, obviously as you touched on muscle manipulation, I do what they call dry needling, or also known as Western world medical acupuncture. I do sports taping, strapping, kinesiology taping, so if you see people with different coloured tape down their limbs, this tape can be used to relieve muscle tension and improve range of motion within joints. I do gait analysis to basically monitor how people walk or run and how this can lead to potential injuries. I'm qualified as a personal trainer, nutrition weight management, GP referral. I've got a lot of strings to my bow.
And you've been working around the Midlands and beyond for some time now, and also working in gyms too. And you must see a range of people who really, if they only thought about things a bit more or talked to someone like yourself before they started doing exercise, could have avoided some major problems.
Yes, so what people do when they first come to the gym is 9 times out of 10 they'll come with a friend or somebody they know who already attends that particular gym. Mm-hmm. If you're new to the gym and you're attending with a friend, that's a great start. You know, that's a good way to keep yourself motivated. But the key thing is to identify your own goals. Know what exactly it is what you want to achieve, and speak to a qualified person, because yes, you can attend with a friend, but your friend may do exercises that your body may not particularly need or want at that particular time, of going to the gym. B, your friend might be using weights that would be far too heavy for you. And if you were to partake in such exercises, you could easily cause injury or anatomical stress to muscles. If you've got tight muscles in your chest, for example, and you continue to do chest exercises, you're just going to tighten those those muscles up, and you're going to walk around with curved shoulders, and it's going to be harder to get a anatomical correct posture without laying off those particular exercises. So I speak who is qualified and knows what they're talking about and who can actually help you achieve your goals is going to set you off on the right foot.
Yeah, because when you do a gym induction, you'll be told how to use the equipment, but you are very much on your own, and they will make sure you're using the equipment safely, but how far you push yourself is down to what you're doing, how you exercise, and what you actually do. And you could be working a muscle group which really just is not in the mood for it, as you say, and without suitable warm-ups and getting everything in place, you could end up needing a significant amount of attention afterwards.
Yes, the warm-up is highly important. You should never exercise on cold muscles. You need to get the blood flowing there, get the joints lubricated, get them ready for exercise. And if you don't do that, it's a very difficult position to correct. Once you pick up injuries, it's just going to set you back and back and back, and then that's when people stop exercising and they stop going to the gym because they've injured themselves, and they don't want to have a reoccurrence of said injury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they don't get the health benefits that go along with all of this. And we talked briefly about dry needling there. Now, this is something that you have done to me to address issues around my sciatic nerve. And it's an odd experience from the receiving end, but certainly it gave a great amount of relief, and it's just something that I certainly would look at going back to again.
Yeah, so dry needling is a very specific technique where in the sports therapy world, you can have a massage, but that massage is only going to be working in the general area, whereas with a needle it's very specific. You don't have to be exactly on the point to manipulate the muscle or having a positive effect on the muscle, but if it's in the general area, when the needle is manipulated by simply twisting it between 2 to 7 times, the muscle fibers and the connective tissue wrap around the needle and it stimulates it to relax. in a physiological way, when we do exercises, we're simply sending electrical currents from the brain to the muscles, telling it, okay, we're going to contract, we're going to relax. But sometimes those electrical signals get stuck within the muscle. So when we put the metal needle in, as everybody should know, metal and electric conduct very well together. Mm-hmm. And when we put the needle in, manipulate it, the muscle, in effect, basically relaxes because the electrical current is took away from that area.
And you can get a period of relief from that, which will help out. And alongside the other work that you do with people, it's a good opportunity for them to feel better, and through that therapy, make a difference. So, where can we go to find out more about your work and the techniques that you're using?
I'm on social media, Facebook, Twitter, JK_MFT, or my website, www.jkfitnessmassage.co.uk.
So check out the details there. But for now, James Kirkpatrick, thank you for joining us.
Not a problem, Jason. Thanks for your time.
Someone who's been entertaining audiences since long before you first saw him on television is George Windsor, and he joins me now for a chat. Hello, sir.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Well, always good to talk to you. Nice to have a catch up. What's been going on in your world?
Oh, it's been absolutely crazy, Jason. So, obviously, when all this lockdown happened, everyone was thinking, oh, this is the great time to reflect, write. Some people had said they're going to do that album in 3 months, and it's just the complete polar opposite for me. I've been so uninspired. It is ridiculous. It's not been fun. It's been very testing mentally. Mm-hmm. But in the things that have been going on for me, a lot of behind the scenes work. We've been getting our creative heads together, me and my team, and we've been looking at ideas, and we've been looking at doing things that are unexpected rather than expected, mm-hmm. for a change. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been different. Obviously, I've had to stay in for nearly God knows how many months now because I had to shield because I suffer with asthma. So I had the daunting letter come through the post from the NHS saying you cannot go anywhere. So it's been a bit weird. But what about you?
Well, yeah, I've been carrying on regardless, I'm afraid. I've been busy working. I've been doing a lot of work from home, but and hence, in fact, I'm sat back on the settee at the moment rather than being out and about doing interviews and stuff. Because we've worked on all sorts of big events together, and normally, I think the last time we had a chat, it was in a random studio somewhere. But we haven't even had a chance to go have a natter over a coffee of late. So, but in your position still, as you had to shield, you still need to be careful out there. There is a lower risk of infection with the way things are at the moment, but still, you can't really head out too much, can you?
No, and you've just got to be really sensible. You've got to be really, mindful. And for once, everyone's got to think about everyone instead of themselves, because if you have a symptom and you're not isolating, that's one of the most selfish things you could be doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And most people would feel absolutely awful if they passed it on to somebody. And the worst could happen because we don't know who it's going to affect. We know that you're in a vulnerable position. However, it's not going to stop you belting out a few tunes in the weeks to come, is it?
No, absolutely not. I've been doing a lot of rehearsing. We moved part of my home studio into a different part of my house. That's one thing that I've been doing.
Yeah. Rewiring.
Relocating. Yeah. So we literally had to move the studio, and I have been practicing, because when you get into writing and you're just constantly writing, you kind of forget to rehearse your set list, your day-to-day singing. You forget to do your exercises. So for me, I was just writing, and then I forgot how to sing, and I was like, oh my God, I need to really swap the roles over. So for me, I've been doing a lot of rehearsing. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think my neighbours have appreciated it because they're seeing more of it. And
they get private concert every day of the week. What more could they ask for?
I know. And this is what I was saying to my family. I said, these people haven't got to pay. They literally just got to open a window. But yeah, it's been good. We had really nice weather, didn't we, to start with? So I was taking advantage of that. I'm really positive when it's sunny, Jason. I'm always extra positive when it's sunny. But soon as bad weather comes, and we're all freaking out, we're all got anxiety from all these viruses and germs. At one point it was like living in a different world, and I never thought that something like this would happen in my lifetime.
I know, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit strange. And then I watched the what was that program called about what we're going through? Is it Contagion or something?
Yeah.
Watch that. Wish I'd never watched that. Literally, completely traumatized me. But it is what it is. But we've got so much planned for the end of the year, and all being well, hopefully we'll be able to release some new music. That's on its way.
I mean, with the stuff in the back catalogue, and you did Tainted Love a while ago, and that's been particularly well received, hasn't it?
Yes, that was really fun. That was a really fun track to work on. That was done last year, and I think within the first 2 weeks, I think it got 17,000 streams in the first week and a bit. I think it was just over. So I was like, oh my God, like, this is crazy. I didn't think people would actually take to it, because it is a classic song, it's sung by a legend. But for me to put a modern twist on it and for people to accept it, it was quite kind of a big thing, because, Mark Almond.
But when it comes down to it, I mean, the look and everything as well, I mean, you could just be a young Mark Almond.
Well, that would be an honour to be compared to someone
Absolutely.
like him. That would actually be an honour. I think he's brilliant. I love Mark. I love his message. I love his technique when he writes. He's not your stereotypical, pop singer that's like, yeah, it's got to be rhyme A, go with rhyme B, and then rhyme B, go with. He literally writes exactly how he's feeling, and I think that is just brilliant on its own. I love that. Well, but yeah, Tainted Love was a great track. We shot a music video in Birmingham in the Jewellery Quarter, so everything was local, and I specifically said that I wanted everything to be local. I didn't want any American twists. I didn't want any commercial vibes. I just wanted it to be authentic. Yeah. And that's what we did. So yeah, that was great. But the new album, well, the debut album, I should say, long overdue. It's coming. It's slowly coming, but I think it's gonna shock a few people. I can't wait to release the first track of it.
We used to big audiences both on TV and in real life. I've seen you things that sing to 30,000 people in one go in Wolverhampton, and always well received whenever you perform. Where can we go to keep track of what is going on? Because you're all over Insta and Facebook the whole time, aren't you?
Yeah, so at the moment it's Instagram, and Twitter. My Facebook page is kind of like dormant at the moment. Literally, it's like it went to sleep with the lockdown. So I would say you could follow me at I'm George Windsor on all my socials. You can also check out the website imgeorgewindsor.com. But obviously, as more is announced, you'll be kept in the loop, Jason, 100%.
Well, we will look forward to talking then, and of course there's the back catalogue of all the interviews and things that you've done online as well that that you've got out there, so we can go along and see all of that. Basically, we just search for George Windsor, not that one, this one, and you can enjoy the work. We'll take a listen to Tainted Love now, but for now, George, thanks for joining us.
No problem.
Sometimes I feel I've got to run away, I've got to get away from the pain that you drive into the heart of me. The love we share seems to go nowhere, and I've lost my light, for I toss and turn, I can't sleep at night. Once I ran to you, now I run from you. This tainted love you've given, I give you all a boy could give you. Take my tears and that's not nearly out. Take my tears and that's not nearly out. Tainted love. Tainted love. Run away, I've got to get away. You don't really want any more from me to make away, I've got to run away, I've got to run away, I've got to.
Josh Bell is a personal trainer and a bodybuilder entering competitions which have obviously been put on hold at the moment, but he joins me now for a bit of a chat. Hello, sir.
How you doing, mate? You alright?
I'm good. I trust we find you well.
Yeah, sound.
Now, it's been disappointing for you because you were working towards a great 2020 season in the world of bodybuilding, and obviously that's all on hold at the moment, but it doesn't mean you've given up on the personal fitness goals, does it?
No, absolutely not. No, still been training and that. But found a way.
So tell us a bit about the sort of competitions you'd normally be entering.
Well, I do men's physique, so it's like board shorts. Take about 15, 12 weeks to get ready for. Strip your diet down a little bit and train hard.
Well, yeah, and you do work hard at this, and when it comes down to that sort of competition and the effort that you put in and getting yourself into the sort of shape, it can't be an easy one to live the sort of life that you would normally expect to at lad in his 20s.
Yeah, well, you sort of put everything else on hold for the period that you're doing the show for, and then that's about it, really. You just last 8 to 6 weeks in particular, you just absolutely hammering it, like you've got no time for anything else, like.
But at the end of it, you look good for the beach anyway, so you can have a good holiday and a bit of a blowout afterwards.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the way it normally works.
You gotta be careful afterwards, though, because your body's used to eating such a small amount of food. You can make yourself ill if you would go out and have too much of a blowout. That's what I've done before.
You've got to find a way that you can behave and make it all work for you. But I mean, that all ties in with your PT world as well, doesn't it? Because you've been doing that for a good while now.
Yeah. Well, a lot. Obviously the one-to-one sessions have been put on hold and that. But I've moved a lot of my business online and stuff. And then obviously I still work for Wolverhampton Council, WV Active, doing bits for them.
Yeah, and they've kept you busy even though the leisure centres haven't been open, because I know you've been working rather hard on the food distribution across the city as well. Yeah.
I've been down there 3-4 days a week and packing parcels for vulnerable people.
And I suppose maybe people didn't click as to that was actually happening. The council staff, who would normally be doing one thing, weren't furloughed and doing nothing. They've actually been going out there and working with the community in different ways during the coronavirus crisis. Yeah,
a lot of them have been on, if you haven't been at the food hub, a few of them have been at the, there's a few homeless refuges, isn't there?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people on like the hotlines and stuff, like the hotline, their phones straight up.
So they've been keeping you all busy, which is what counts.
Yeah. It's all good, really.
So what happens now then? Have you got competitions scheduled in for later on this year with social distancing in place? Or do we know what's happening there yet?
It's all a bit up in the air. I think they're hoping to resume back end of this year, but I'll probably just not this year on the air to try and get a bit bigger and then go again next year when it's all back to normal.
And what is your aim? I mean, how does it work in the different categories and stuff? Because how old are you now?
25.
And it's a bit of a young man's game, isn't it?
I wouldn't say so. I'd say you probably hit your prime when you're, for bodybuilding, when you're like 30, 35.
Yeah.
Obviously you've got more years of training under your belt, a bit more muscle maturity and stuff like that. A bit more size, really.
And that's what you're working towards. And with the PT work as well, if somebody doesn't necessarily have to want to be a bodybuilder and bulk up to a big size suitable for competition, they can just get themselves into shape. And where can people go to find out more about your work that you do there?
Yeah, a lot of my clients are like lifestyle clients, as you'd call them, just want to be fitter, look better and stuff like that. Yeah, a lot of the time it's not like performance-based stuff, like for sport or for bodybuilding. It is just like cosmetically, they want to lose a bit of weight, or they want to put they're a bit slim and they want to put a bit of size on. Like.
So lots of ways to do that. Okay, so where do people find you online?
My business page is JB Performance 1, on Instagram. I'm in the process of setting up a website at the moment, obviously, because with all this like COVID-19 and everything, I've had to move a lot of my business online, like I said. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to get a website set up and everything.
So that'll come soon. And you on Facebook as well?
I am, yeah. JB Performance and Nutrition on Facebook.
So again, you can help out people with what they're looking for there. And can people also follow your progress in the world of the bodybuilding championships?
Yeah. I mean, my business page on Instagram is mainly just pictures of me and my progress, what training I've been doing since the gyms have been shut. In garage and stuff like that.
So keeping yourself in the condition you want to be in, ready for your next round of competitions in 2021.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, Josh, good to catch up with you. Keep up the good work, and I know you've got to go and dash off and do some work at the food hub now, so I'll let you get on with that.
Yeah. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Well, that's all for this week. Thank you so much for joining us back with episode 574 next week. I'll see you then. Ta-ra for now.
Goodbye from the milk bar. 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 Yeah. Goodbye from the milk bar. Yeah.